All right, this is Mr. Gillum, and today we're going to have a really important day about order of operations. This is a skill that will apply to all mathematics that you ever do in your entire life. There is a specific sequence of the way things happen in a mathematical expression or equation. Now, we're going to learn it today. Okay, this is how the entire math world is built around this order. It's called the order of operations. Okay. The order of operations, like I said, is basically math's daily agenda. Anytime you're doing a problem, you're simplifying an expression, you're solving an equation, whatever it is that you're doing, order of operations is present there. And so these steps must go in this order exactly as they are said in this order. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to complete anything in parentheses or absolute value in order from left to right using the order of operations. The second thing we're going to do is simplify any base with an exponent. We learned about bases and exponents yesterday. So if you see one, that'll be the second thing you take care of. The third thing you take care of is simplifying anything with multiplication or division from left to right. It doesn't matter whether the division or the multiplication comes first. Whatever it is that you see first from left to right is what you do first, and then addition and subtraction from left to right. Okay? Or subtraction and addition, whatever comes first. Okay? Whatever you see first, whether it is a multiplication or division from left to right, that happens first. Okay? So, daily agenda, number one, we are looking for anything in parentheses. We include absolute value with that as well. Any absolute values or parentheses, you're going to look inside of them. Number two, we're looking for any bases that have exponents that can be simplified. Now, as we get into more algebra and more variables, some of the exponents cannot simplify the variable. But if you see any exponents, you need to do that step second after everything in the parentheses is taken care of. The third thing you need to do is move your eyes from left to right just like you're reading a book, and if you see a multiplication or a division, you will do that immediately. Okay? It doesn't matter whether it's division or multiplication. Whatever one you see, if it's a multiplication or a division, you do that one. Okay? So it doesn't matter if you see a division before multiplication, you still do the division. Okay? So step 3 happens from left to right. Any division or multiplication, that's what you do next. And then number 4, addition and subtraction. Okay. Anything again you see from left to right that is addition or subtraction, you simplify that as you go from left to right. Okay. Now there are some ways to remember the order of operations. One of the most popular ways is called PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplying and dividing, adding and subtracting. So if you would like to remember PEMDAS, that's one way to remember. However, the reason I don't like PEMDAS is because they don't distinguish that multiply and divide has to happen at the same time. Any multiplication or division happens immediately on that step. It's not look for multiplication, do all the multiplication, then look for division. No, you do multiplication at the same time as division. And adding, subtracting. That same thing goes for that. You don't go through and do all the addition and then go through and do all the subtraction. You do the addition and subtraction from left to right on the same step. Okay, so that's one way to remember PEMDAS. Another one you might hear is from, if you're getting outside help, is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All right, and again, I don't like these so much because they don't distinguish, okay, here's step 1, here's step 2, and it makes you feel like, I think it gives the impression that multiplication happens next, then division, then addition, then subtraction, where in reality, multiplication and division happens at the same time, and addition and subtraction happens at the same time. So as far as remembering what order, that's great, but just make sure you're doing your multiplication division on the same step and you're adding and subtracting on the same step. Okay. So what I'm going to do here first is I'm going to work these problems out without order of operations, and then I'm going to work them out with order of operations. So I want you to see the difference of what happens here. If I were to simplify this expression, we're simplifying, there's no equal sign, these are expressions. What I would do is this, okay, if I ignored order of operations, so without order of operations, 3 plus 2 times 5. I would do 3 plus 2, which is 5 times 5. and 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, all right, so I would get 25. However, with order of operations, and I did the same problem, I would look first for parentheses, and because there are no parentheses, I can move to step 2. Then I would look for exponents. I don't see any exponents, so then I'll move to step 3. Any multiplication or division from left to right. As I move from left to right, the first thing I see is this multiplication, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. So the 3 and the addition sign go right down to the next line because they're not being affected. I'm taking 2 times 5, which is 10. And so I'm still looking for multiplication and division. I don't see any, so now I'm doing the step with addition and subtraction. 3 plus 10 is 13. Okay, so as you can see, a math problem, or an expression in this case, that is not using order of operations will be a different outcome than an expression with order of operations. You've probably seen these questions on Facebook, like, oh, can you know, what's the correct answer for this math problem? And you probably see a lot of people pick the wrong answer. The correct answer, and this goes for math for the rest of your life, always goes through order of operations, okay? Multiplication, division come before addition and subtraction. All right, so again, I'll do it a little more quickly this time, without or with, okay? Without order of operations, we would have 8 minus 6 divided by 2. With, we would have 8 minus 6 divided by 2. Without, we would just go straight across. So 8 minus 6 would be 2 divided by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. However, if I'm using order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, add and subtract, I don't see any parentheses. I don't see any exponents. So now I'm looking for any multiplication or division that I see from left to right. So the first thing I see here is this division. So 8 and the minus are brought down because they're not being affected. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. 8 minus 3, 5. So as you can see, again, I get a different answer, 1 or 5. This is the correct answer. This will be incorrect. This will be incorrect. Order of operations, it's everywhere in math for the rest of your life. It always follows these same, it's the same daily agenda. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract, in that order. You can't go out of order or you will have the wrong, I won't say solution, but you will not simplify correctly. Oop. It was like way too many. Let's see if I can go back. Again, I want to show you the difference if you do and do not follow order of operations. Without and with. 3 minus 2 plus 1. 3 minus 2, oops, 2 plus 1. Without order of operations, we would just do 3 minus 2, which would be 1. Bring down the plus 1. And 1 plus 1 would be 2. All right. However, with order of operations, parentheses come first. So I'm going to look inside the parentheses and I'm going to do whatever's in there. I'm going to simplify first. So parentheses, 3 and the minus come down. And in the parentheses, now I have 2 plus 1, which was 3. And because inside the parentheses there's no operations going on inside the parentheses, what I can do is I can drop the parentheses. Only because there's no operations, meaning there's no addition, subtraction, multiply, or divide inside left in the parentheses. So I'm going to write it like this instead. Okay, so as soon as you finish all the operations inside the parentheses, you may drop them off. If there are still operations remaining, and we're going to learn this when we start doing variables, you can't just drop off the parentheses. Only if there's no operations left. The last step, of course, would be to subtract, and we would get 0. So again, we would get different answers with and without order of operations. Okay, and then finally, this last example. Let's do this without and then with. Okay, without order of operation would be 4 times 3 squared would be 12 squared, which is 144. Yikes, it's a big number. With order of operations, I would be thinking parentheses, exponents. I don't see any parentheses, so now I'm looking at exponents. So I'm looking at this base and its exponent. I need to simplify that. 4 and the multiply come down. 3 to the second power is not 6. We learned this yesterday. It is 9. And then finally, there's only one step left to do, 36. So again, you can see they're very different answers, 144 and 36, with or without order of operations. So that gives me just enough time to take a look at these more complicated problems. And these will be more similar to what you see on your homework. So, big, fat, long expression here we need to simplify. I'm going to remind myself I'm thinking parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplying, dividing from left to right, then adding and subtracting from left to right. So I do see there are parentheses here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight those. And temporarily, I'm going to scribble out everything else. I'm going to ignore everything else besides what's in the parentheses. Okay, and I'm just going to do what's in the parentheses first. In this case, it says 4 times 10. So whatever was in there is coming down. Whatever's in there is coming down. It's not changing. What's inside the parentheses, 4 times 10, is going to change into 40. All right. Now that I've done my parentheses, let's see what was behind those. Okay. All right. I'm bringing down the 4 and the addition sign, the times 3, and the plus 9 to the third. Everything else stayed the same. Okay, I didn't change any of it. What I noticed about inside the parentheses is that there's no operations, no addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division left in them. So I'm going to rewrite it again. 4 plus 40 times 3 plus 9 to the third. All right. So now I've got my parentheses taken care of. There are no parentheses left. I'm looking for exponents. And what I do is I see an exponent over here. So I'm going to not change any of these things. Okay, in front of the exponent. I'm going to leave them all the same. So I'm going to go ahead and write them down again so I don't forget that they're there. All those things. And what I'm going to do is take 9 to the third. Now remember, 9 to the third is not 27. It's 9 times 9 times 9. 81 times 9. 729. Okay, and so now, as you can see, as I simplified 9 to the third, I didn't write 9 to the third, I changed it to 729. Now I'm looking for multiplication and division. So I'm moving from left to right, looking for multiplication and division, and I see that there is some multiplication. 4 and the plus come down. They don't change. 40 times 3 is 120. This plus stays the same, and the 729 stays where it's at. Okay, so now I have done all the multiplication and division from left to right, and I just need to do my addition and subtraction, and I go from left to right on that. 4 plus 120 is 124. This plus 729 comes down. And then 124 plus 729. $853. So that is the simplest form, 853. All right, so there's one example of what you might see tomorrow. So what we're going to do is this. I'm going to stop the video here, and we're going to pick up on this tomorrow in class. So instead of immediately logging into your whiteboard warm-up, what I want you to do is get your notes out, and we'll finish them in class. Unless you're a student that didn't watch the notes, then I'll know because you will have your computer out. All right, so that's it for today. We'll learn a little bit more about this tomorrow and hopefully clear up any questions that you have.